Welcome back to another episode of Louisiana Hunting. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about dog training. Alright, mostly leash breaking and pulling dogs, because all dogs are different and some learn quicker than others, and some pull and some don't. Some fight the leash, some don't. I've got several different options here. One I am missing, it's up at my other place and I wasn't going up there to get it, is a check cord. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. How you like my Brent Bone Signature Edition sunglasses? Thanks, Brett, for sending me these. About the only time I've had a chance to wear them. So anyway, a little bit about my background. I've worked with hounds my entire life. I've worked with bird dogs and I've worked with police canines. So I took a little bit out of all those, and this is some of the stuff that I've learned. It may help you. You know, you may have some comments that might even help me, so feel free to leave comments. That's what it's about. This is just my opinion and stuff that I have tried over the past. Now, I'm going to start with just a leash. All right. This is the old style leashes that I used to use. Still use them. I've got quite a few of these. It's just nylon on one end and chain on the other, and it has a floating O-ring in the center. All right. So if I don't have a collar, or if I got a dog that pulls a little bit, I can use this as a choke collar. So they'll pull against them and they'll eventually learn. I'm gonna get to a choke collar here in just a minute, but an actual choke chain. But this is a tree tie lead, so I can lengthen it or shorten it however long I need it. I also have these in cable. I like the cable better because they're lighter. They're easier on my neck. So the only problem with using this, you know, as a choker chain is sometimes it'll hang up and won't lock down or whatever, or it won't release like it's supposed to. So it's an option if you don't have nothing else. All right, I mentioned the check cord. I've got a 30-foot check cord. I forget what diameter it is. Probably 1/2 inch diameter. But you can actually hook it to the dog's collar and then do a 1/2 inch around its flank. And that'll actually make him pull against his flank instead of his neck. And sometimes if they're a little gritty, they can, you know, may flip out on you, go to biting at the rope at the flank, but that's in extreme cases where they're, you know, just running off the end of the lead. You know, it pinches them pretty hard, but if it's used correctly and the dog's not, you know, just running at the end of the lead, it'll just give them a light tug right around the flanks. And in the bird dog world, they use that to teach whoa. So when they want them to stop, they can just, you know, give them a light tug on that rope and it'll stop them. I also have a thing called a suitcase handle, and it's just a check cord that's about 24 to 36 inches long. It's got 2 snaps on the end and a floating O-ring. Hook one end to his collar and one end around his flank to the O-ring, and you can actually, you know, pick him up by his tail and that and stop him and whoa break him if you're training bird dogs. It doesn't really work for what we're talking about here though, you know, as far as leash breaking one, you know, trying to get a dog to stop pulling on the lead. All right, next up is the classic choke chain. It's a little smaller diameter chain than my leash, but it works the same principle. You just loop it through itself, and then you've got a free floating end, and it dangles like this on the dog's neck, until the dog pulls, and then it pulls and releases. You can give quick responsive actions with just a quick tug of the lead, or if the dog was to jerk, it'll choke. Now I've found that dogs fight these, or they'll pull through them, so to speak. If you've got a real sensitive dog, these work real well. If you've got a hard head or a jug head, not so much. Now the next one I'm going to talk about, it looks cruel, but it's really not. It's called the pinch collar. And it does the same scenario. It sits loose on the dog's neck, and then when you pull on it, it causes these prongs to pull together, and it'll pinch that dog. And if you got a hard-headed dog, this will work. Now, is it cruel? Not really. I mean, it can be if you use it in the wrong way, but it's adjustable in length and in size, whereas the choke chain is not. You buy them in different lengths. So, but this one is adjustable. You can take the prongs out, open them up, do all the adjustments you need to do. And normally it don't take but just the dog to pull on this once or twice, and it learns real quick not to pull. So if you've got one that's real hard-headed and really pulling through your lead, this is an option. It's used a lot in the police canine world, and it's where I learned it from. The Slitzen world, they use this device, and it works in the proper hand. And I know it's a short video, or it's gonna be, but this is probably by far one of my favorite tools. It don't look like much. It looks like a lariat rope, or a little miniature lariat rope. All right, it's got a leather washer on one end. It's got a loop and a rubber washer on the other. This is your adjustment, all right, for your dog neck size. Now this is called the Delmar Smith Wonder Lead. This has been around a long time. Delmar Smith's a well-known name in the bird dog world. But you can use this in several different ways. I got a cat messing with my tripod. But you can use this, just as just a regular old choke chain sort of method. If you, like I said, if you got a real sensitive dog. A lot of times what this is used for is to teach to heel. And if you're going to walk the dog on your left side, you would take this, open it up, you'd put it around his neck, and then you'd put the left side in front of his left ear and the right side behind his right ear. And you're essentially just going to walk the dog just like this and let the dog pull itself back into heel. You don't do anything. You just hold it and walk and change direction, whatever, and it makes the dog pay attention. And that dog will, after about 2 or 3 pinches with this, and this is soft and pliable, but it gets on those pressure points right in front of the dog's ears, and it'll actually teach that dog, or the dog will teach itself to heel using this. All right, just the opposite. If you're going on the right side heel, right side in front of the right ear, left side behind the left ear. Same thing. Just hold it and walk the dog at your side. As far as pulling, this is the best option that I have found. And if this just don't work right here, I go to this one. And a lot of times what I'll do with this is I'll just put this on the dog and tie it out and just walk away from it just a short distance. Let it pinch him a time or two. And then just walk back into the dog, pet on it, love it, get the pressure off of it. And then do it again and just keep repeating. Everything's repetitive when you're talking about training dogs. I don't talk about this stuff a lot because this is my opinion. This is the stuff I use. This is the stuff I like. This is a brand new one. This one's never been used. I just opened it up out of the package, and I've been waiting on it to come in. I've had one in the past, and when I found it, it was in a million little pieces. So the rats had got to it. It wasn't in my dog box. So, you know, that's just some of the things I use. Far as, you know, trying to leash break a hard-headed pulling dog. Most of the time these dogs pick it up real quick right out of the gate. You know, you don't have any problems. What brought this up, I've got 2 gyps that pull real bad, and that's why I was looking for my Delmar Smith Wonder Lead, and then my puppy is pulling, but I've kind of trained her to do that without trying to train her. I've got her on one of those little extractable leashes, and she pulls to the end of it, but she's gotten better. She's kind of trained herself. Hey, I don't have to pull. I'm gonna get there eventually. So about the only time she really pulls is when we first let her out, or she's really hungry. So, but she's gotten better. She's, you know, kind of walking at a heel. And since I'm on the subject of my puppy, she is 4 months old, and she's out of some of that Western dry ground line stock. Got her from Casey Fair. She's over playing in the yard right now, and she's got a perimeter collar on, keeping her out of the road, and it's turned down low enough that it ain't getting her too bad, but it keeps her in the yard. So she minds pretty well. She's a little different acting dog. She acts more like a cur dog than a hound. You know, very sensitive, you know, as far as, you know, getting on to her. You know, you don't have to holler at her much. You just, you know, say no and she'll stop for the most part, unless it's barking at cats, and then it's Katie bar the door on barking at cats. She's bred to bark at cats. And anyway, she's just being a puppy, chewing stuff up and getting into things that she ought not be getting into. But she's got a nose on her, son, let me tell you. She puts it to the ground. If I just turn her loose out of the pen, she puts it to the ground and she hunting Pablo or a cat, whichever one she comes to first. But she will slap run it. But anyway, my granddaughter named her Snickers, so that's what we're calling her. I'm sitting here watching her, making sure she ain't gonna get into something too bad. But anyhow, that's gonna be that the end of this week's video. You know, like I said, it's gonna be short. I've been having technical difficulties. I've had to work a lot this week, so I hadn't been out. Weather's changed. I'm still got a little bit of this sinus infection lingering, and I'm not trying to prolong that or create pneumonia, so I'm trying to stay out of it best I can. So leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. Tell me your experiences. You know, there's no right or wrong answers here. You know, it is what it is. We learn from each other. Iron sharpens iron. It's what the Bible tells us. The book of Proverbs. So that's going to be it. Remember, it's all about these dogs, and this has been another episode. Louisiana Hunting.